Hey guys, how's it going? It's Joy. I am back again with another video. I hope that you guys are doing well and staying safe. All right, and just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to another video here at Live Narc Free. If you are new, welcome, and if you are returning, hey. I was actually thinking about this topic for today and yesterday actually, and this is something that I've actually have went through myself. But I wanted to talk about overcoming your inner child pain and triggers after dealing with narcissistic abuse. I think this is a really good topic because I know a lot of us victims and survivors, we do have childhood traumas and childhood inner pain that we have experienced, growing up, but whether, if it was our parents or other caretakers and that sort of thing. And because maybe we don't recognize that a lot of our pain is coming from our past or coming from like how we grew, that when we grow up, and we have like friendships and relationships and that sort of thing, we could get triggered without even knowing, or we could become a magnet for a narcissist. And so I think that it's really important to recognize that and then to work on um, overcoming it and, just doing the inner work, you know what I mean? And whatever that means for you. So yeah, I just want to kind of get into it. So you might be wondering, like, well, what is a inner child pain? So a lot of it is basically, our younger self, the pain that we felt like when we was growing up, whether that could be like feeling a lot of shame, feeling a lot of guilt, feeling rigid, all or nothing type of thinking. It could also be, comparing ourselves to other people, judging ourselves, and being critical of ourselves, and maybe even being critical of other people, right? And some of those thoughts could be like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough, or you could be feeling needy or clingy and needing constant attention or needing constant approval or constant reassurance. You know what I mean? And this could all stem from our inner child because whoever it was that was taking care of us, they could have made us feel responsible for them, responsible for how they felt, responsible for making them happy, or responsible, if they wasn't feeling so well, then they could have made us responsible for that, or make them feel better. You know what I mean? So it's just recognizing that. And then as far as, that inner child pain, it could be like when we was younger, maybe let's say we was put down a lot. Maybe we was mentally abused or emotionally abused or psychologically abused, or it could be physical abuse as well. So that could be a lot of pain that our inner child could be going through. Or it could be like, where you could have felt emotionally neglected, or you could have felt like nobody cared about your opinion, even as like a child, a toddler, like a small infant. You could have felt like nobody, not saying like we're thinking about this because we're our inner child, it's like literally a child. But you could have felt like nobody wanted to be around you, nobody wanted to hold you, or nobody showed you attention and that sort of thing. And so since we don't recognize that, or maybe we just like kind of stuff those feelings down, and we try not to think about it. We try to be like, oh, okay, like I'm going to ignore that. I'm just going to, move on to the next thing, or the next person, or the next fix, or the next addiction, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? So that can be, some of our inner child pain, and especially if we was like abused or taken advantage of or ridiculed or neglected or abandoned or rejected, we could have those pains that I just mentioned. Like I said, being over responsible, feeling a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of remorse, and just constantly, it could be like self hate and low self esteem, low self worth, and all that stuff. And in regards to the triggers, though, again, these feeling of pain, this inner child pain, this could trigger, especially if you've dated a narcissist, or even if it could just be a toxic person, they could actually bring out those feelings of guilt and shame and, the all or none type of thinking, and, you know, you being overly critical of yourself, or maybe being overly critical of others, or judging yourself and comparing yourself. And not to say that any of that stuff is really truly ever going to go away, but I think just having the tools and the resources that you need that can help you to work through that, I think would be good in your recovery. And I always recommend you guys, and I'll show you guys the book on Sunday. And I had showed it to you in another video, but the book that I'm currently reading is called The Inner Child Workbook: What to Do with Your Past When It Won't Go Away. I highly recommend you guys getting that. It's by Catherine L. Taylor, which can help you with your inner child pains that you could be dealing with. And by the way, you guys, when I say inner child, I don't just mean like a certain age. Like, we have inner children inside of us that was hurt and that could be experiencing a lot of pain. So it could go from like your infant self to like your 1-year-old self, your 2-year-old self, 3-year-old self, 4-year-old self, 5-year-old, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, it goes up to that, like really far. Even maybe when you was like a preteen or something like that, you could still experience inner child pain, and that needs to be healed, right? So anyway, yeah, in regards to the triggers, when you're dealing with a narcissist, they can cause those triggers to come up, because the narcissist, they'll treat you nice in the beginning, because in a sense, because we have had childhood traumas, right? The narcissist can kind of pick that up, and then they could kind of play with you and make you feel like, oh my God, like I finally found somebody that really cares about me, that, that really accepts me, they love me, they don't judge me, I can trust this person. And, we kind of get sucked in, we kind of get tricked. But in actuality, when it comes to the evaluation stage, when you're dealing with a narcissist, that's when they're going to start triggering your inner child pains, because they're going to start putting you down. They're going to be very critical of you. They're going to cause you to feel a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. You're going to be thinking less of yourself, and they're going to be comparing you to other people to make you feel insecure. And they're going to be constantly judging you. So you're going to be judging yourself by proxy, right? And then, they're just going to do anything to just get you upset, to get that negative supply, because that's really what they want. They don't really care about the positive supply, the positive response. They prefer the negative response more than anything, so, and they're going to be making you feel less than worthy. They're going to be making you feeling very clingy and needy, and feeling like, in a sense, they're going to make you codependent on them, right? And I get to a degree, like when we were younger, yeah, we were codependent on our parents. We needed them, right? Because if it wasn't for them, then who would take care of us, or whatever caretaker was around you? We needed them. But at a certain point in time, you learn to be independent, right? And the thing is that some of us, it takes a while for us to outgrow that. And then others, some of us, we could be actually in a point where we're being pushed to be independent. And that, in a sense, is not really that great either. In my personal opinion, I think it's just a natural process, and you take it step by step. And for some people, it may be baby steps, and that's fine too. But, and the thing is, it's like you have to find that balance, because you have some people where they want to make you codependent to where you can't do anything without them. And then other people, they just push you out there, and you're just kind of out there with the wolves. You know what I mean? Then you're like, oh no, I have to stay. But you have to learn to do it on your own timing, right? But yeah, so you might get triggered, like I said, when you're with the narcissist, and you have to understand that this could be coming from, your inner child pain. And it could be also that, the narcissist could remind you of your caretaker, or your mother, or your dad. And maybe you could be trying to you could be trying to heal that inner child pain that you feel, when you're with the narcissist. But you have to remember that the narcissist, they just want to throw salt on the wound. They want to make it worse for you. They don't want to help you heal. They don't want to make things better. Um, so you have to keep that in mind. So you might be wondering, like, well, how do I work through this? So one of the things is you really want to understand what your pain is. What exactly is your inner child's pain? Like, what is your inner child feeling? Are they feeling sad? Are they feeling disappointed? Are they feeling not loved? Do they feel unworthy? Do they feel the blame for everything that happened in the past? Do they feel overly responsible for their parents or siblings or other people in the family? Do they shame themselves? Do they hate themselves? Do they feel guilty? What is it, that inner child feeling? Do they need love? Like, do they feel abandoned? Do they feel rejected? You got to figure out what is that inner child feeling. And then once you recognize the feelings, you have to talk to that inner child and let that inner child know that they survived whatever it is that they went through in the past, and that you're going to be there with them and you're not going to leave them. And you can also write a letter to your inner child as well. I highly, highly recommend that. And, maybe even having a picture of your inner child and just keep that picture with you. You can put it on the wall or you can put it in your wallet and just look at it and, you know, understand again you survived, and that you're going to protect it. You have to talk to, either it's, if you have to talk to yourself or if you write it down, that is great too. And you do, you have to grieve. I know some people don't want to feel their feelings, but that's another way to help with coping with your inner child pain. And if you feel needed or called to, definitely reach out for professional help, or whatever the case is. You can reach out to me in regards to that, because like I said myself, I had to grieve my inner child wounds myself, because again, my parents did the best that they could, but unfortunately it just wasn't um, it wasn't all that I needed in that moment in time. And sometimes that can be painful, especially you know um, if you're thinking back to your 2-year-old self, your 4-year-old self, your 8-year-old self, your 10-year-old self, however, whatever age it was for you that was wounded and traumatized, then that's the part of you that has to heal. And but like I said, in regards to the narcissist, yeah, they are going to trigger those feelings from you, and you're going to be wondering, like, why am I feeling this way? Because at first you're going to be like, it hurts, but then you're going to be like, it's not really the narcissist per se, which, yeah, they do hurt us. They're very conniving and evil, but it's also the inner child pain that we're feeling as well. And so just recognizing your triggers. And the thing about the trigger is you just want to realize the trigger. And if you feel a certain feeling come up, maybe you want to journal it out, or maybe you need to talk to a professional, or, or maybe you need to pray or meditate and, understand that it's going to be okay. You might need to hug yourself and just be with yourself, comfort yourself in that moment in time, and understand, like, yeah, it's a process. This is like your healing. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. And then also, there could be other triggers where you write down, like, because some triggers you can avoid, and then there's other triggers where you can't avoid. So the triggers where you can't avoid, maybe you want to write down a response to how you will respond to that particular trigger, so that way it won't be an outburst. Because some of us, we may respond to triggers where we may yell and scream and do things that we might regret. So you want to just kind of keep that in mind to maybe not do that. And it's so judgment, because sometimes you might react, but you want to try to practice those reactions and getting to the root of the cause, which again could be what happened to you when you were younger. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful, you guys. Understand that this is a process. This is definitely, the healing does not happen overnight, because the traumatization, I hope I said that right, that did not happen overnight, so it's an everyday process. And like I said, just understand your inner child needs you and needs love and care and support. And another thing I could just say is, Sometimes you might have to communicate to your inner child. You might need to find out what that inner child needs the most in this moment in time. You know what I mean? Now, if you are currently, before I head out, if you're currently with a narcissist and you know that you're dealing with some inner child pain, I would recommend you just have to try to get away from the narcissist as quickly as possible. And if you know that this is a narcissist, you got to really just be in control of your emotions at this point. Like, you got to control your emotions, and you got to understand that this person wants to hurt you, and maybe the longer that you're with them, the worse it's going to get. So you got to really be solution oriented, and you got to really think about your safety, and your mental health is the first priority, and just try to get away from them and talk to someone as soon as you can. And you really have to do that inner work. So anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. Give this a like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what was your guys' biggest takeaway. Was this helpful? Does anybody deal with their inner child pain? What's your process? How do you work through it? I would love to hear you guys' feedback. And so, yeah, give this video a like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh, you guys, and don't forget, leave me topics that you guys want to learn about if you enjoy this video, and all that good stuff. All right, take care. Bye.